Welcome back to another Pokemon What If Wednesday, where every Wednesday morning we go through last week's investing and collecting questions, where your guys' questions will actually be featured in the video, and one person's question will help me make the thumbnail every single week. So please drop your questions down below for a chance to be in next week's video. And if I did comment to you saying great question, I might use this. Make sure you drop that same question again and put repeat question. It'll get moved to the top. We've been getting a ton more questions, so I will eventually get to you, I promise. And I'm not saying I'm some guru who just knows everything, but when I'm unsure, I always like to talk it out with a few people. It always helps me make my final decision. But before we get started, we do have to give a big thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is Collectr. This app is the best of the best when it comes to tracking your collection. No other app even compares. I have actually tried them all, and they're always trying to improve by adding new cards, boxes, and features, so let us know down below what you want them to add or fix. They just added the Unagaba box, and they just added a brand new feature where you can mark as sold, and you can view your realized gains charted out on the homepage against your unrealized gains too. And they got more custom icons now, new app themes, tons of new colors. So like I said, they're always trying to improve. And they also do more giveaways than anyone in the hobby. So definitely check them out. I'll have all the links in the description. All right, first question. It's from @GardenStatesNews. Hello, Mr. Beardington. I've recently seen that the XY and Sun and Moon booster boxes seem to have leveled out in price. Would now be a good time to offload my duplicate booster boxes. Want to take in profits, but wanted to wait until the price leveled out. Thank you. So the main reason why I wanted this question as the first question is because this is very important. I see a lot of people, they want to get everything when they start, collecting sealed products or investing into sealed products. And I am telling you, it really, really sucks when you only have one of something. And then, it's a few years down the road and it's super expensive and you want to sell it, but you're scared to sell it because what if it keeps going up in price? And odds are, it probably will keep going up in price. Especially if you are anything like me who just loves to collect, you just really don't want to sell anything. Even a sealed case. I know there's 6 booster boxes in that case, and I could open it up and, have a bunch of them to sell and keep. But in my mind, it's just one sealed case. I can't sell it. That's why I got to get multiples. So instead of, trying to get one of everything or a bunch of everything, I promise you'll be so much happier if you, focus on a few good products and try to stock up on those products. And now let's say you're not an investor at all and you just love collecting sealed products and you want to collect, one of each booster box. Or one of each Elite Trainer box, which I know a ton of people do. I promise you, in the future, you're going to wish you bought at least another one of each. So that way, you can sell some of this stuff in the future and still have your entire collection. And I know a ton of people, they'll say, I don't ever want to sell. But let's say you don't sell and you pass away and you got to pass it on to your kids. Odds are your kids might sell. So now, if they only have one of each, let's say you got 2 kids, they got to split up that entire collection. But if you have, 1, 2, or 3 booster boxes of each, you can really spread that out. That's why I like to get a minimum of 4 booster boxes of 4 products of each thing. So that way, you could save a few for a super long run. You could sell one in 5 to 10 years. You got a lot of different options. So that's one of the main reasons why I took this question, for the first question. Now let's get back to the actual question. So I've noticed the Sun and Moon XY booster boxes, they'll go up for a month or two and then kind of level out for a month or two. So I could definitely see some of them moving up again. I mean, Unified Minds last sold 2,900, 3K. This is the booster box that I probably have most of. But yeah, it just keeps slowly going up. It just hangs out for a little bit and then has a nice little jump. So it really depends on how many you have. But it is a good idea to sell some of this stuff when it does go crazy, and reinvest it into some newer things. Or if you need money for something, whatever it is, if you got doubles or triples, now would be an okay time. But just know, in a couple years, when you go look at that booster box price again, it's probably going to be higher than it is now. But you got to think of, how much you paid for it. Let's say, like me, I bought most of my Unified Minds booster boxes between 100 to 190. And now, they're at 3K. So you got to think of that number instead of the future number. I know it's tough. And like I said, I'm terrible at it. But it does make sense to do. And then too, if you are going to do that and you do have duplicates, always make sure you sell your crappier ones first. Keep your mintiest boxes for long run, because those are the ones that are going to be highly valued for sure. So yeah, like I said, try to get at least 4. I feel like that's a good number, especially if you're just starting out too. Like I said, instead of buying, 3 different collection boxes, a booster bundle here, an ETB here, just take all that money and buy, 3 booster boxes or 3 Pokemon Center ETBs of the same set that you really like and you think is going to do good in the future. And I promise you'll be so much happier. All right, next question is from Toxic Romeo. Hey Beard, I had a question I was hoping to hear your opinion on. I personally really like the Amazing Rares. There was only 9 Amazing Rare cards across 2 sets, being Vivid and Shining. Do you think these will be cards in the future that we will all look back on and wish we all had? I have the full set raw and I'm debating getting a full 10 set. So they actually are going up in price right now. So we got the amazing rare, you know, it was super cheap, $5 card for the longest time. Now it's selling for $20 raw. And even a PSA 10 is going up in price. Last sold $148. We got another 10 before that at $194. And people like to forget, this sold for $750 when it came out, because this came out when we had our first boom, and these cards were brand new. We've never got them before, and they were extremely playable, so all the people who were playing it were using them. But yeah, they were very, very expensive when Vivid came out, which made sense at the time because Vivid Voltage was the best set in the Sword and Shield era, which we actually had a very expensive, you know, Pikachu chase, which was super tough to pull, and Pikachu doesn't get a ton of like top chase cards. And then we had the new amazing rares. But yeah, it is definitely going up. So I've been saying for a long time that these amazing rares are a good pickup. I mean, even still, a lot of these are going up in price. You can still get the whole set complete for like $40 raw. In a PSA 10 though, like I said, it is going up. We got Celebi now at $120 in a 10. And then, you know, raw for Celebi all day long between $5 and like $8. But yeah, this is some of my favorite stuff to buy, these little tiny subsets like this, to where it's just super easy to complete, super low risk, and you never know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, I think I don't even know how many sets of the amazing rares that I have, because I just kept buying them. They were literally like $15 for a whole complete set when I was buying them. And now, you know, they're finally starting to get a little bit of love. But I don't think it's something that, you know, everybody's going to look back on and wish they had, because they weren't super tough to pull. I mean, the pops, you know, it's not tough to grade or anything like that. But I think they'll do better than what people think for sure. All right, next question is from Ivan Salicido. How do we feel about the new Pikachu McDonald's promo, new felt hat? So I'm not super obsessed with this card or anything. It doesn't really get me excited. You know, it's just the next hyped up thing. I've seen 1,000 people make 1,000 videos on it literally every week. But we got a PSA 10 at 311, PSA 9 at 132, and then raw 46. And then we got a bunch of packs at like 75. Here's another raw at 30. Couple random graded cards at like 56, 68, another raw at 43. But, you know, knowing this market, it probably will go up in price. Even though it's not really technically rare. But, I mean, if you zoom in, it's a nice looking card. I do wish it was like an illustration rare or art rare. Then, you know, this card would be double or triple the price probably. But yeah, I don't get super excited over these cards. But like I said, knowing the market right now, it'll probably do really good. Next is from Dame B. Repeat question. With some other thoughts, I would like your opinion on Mr. Miyagi Beard, Master Ball forger and wielder of Arceus. Do you think build and battle stadiums are underrated? They are not that expensive compared to their booster box equivalent. A good entry point to the set and also display better in my opinion, specifically Evolving Skies, Silver Tempest, and Obsidian Flames. So yeah, I'm a big fan of these also. They were really slept on for the longest time. And I mean, they still kind of are. Obsidian Flames market price 90, Paradox Build and Battle Stadium 73. And they don't make these anymore. So I think that makes them even a little bit cooler. And there's a lot of packs in here. And I do agree they display very nicely. I mean, just look at that Giratina on that Build and Battle Stadium. That is super nice. But yeah, let's see what comes in here. We get 2 individual Build and Battle boxes, each containing 4 ready to play decks. And then each deck includes 1 of 4 unique foil promos, which do have some value. And then you get 4 booster packs in each thing. So you get a total of 12 booster packs and, you know, 2 promos and then the 2 decks. So it's not a bad little buy for sure. Now, Lost Origin, last low for this one, 150, 164, 175, 130. It is getting up there in price. But I mean, compare this to the Lost Origin ETB, which is also around 150, that has 8 packs. So you're getting a lot more packs. And with all the box breakers and stuff nowadays, I feel like people are definitely going to buy these in the future just to get the packs out from them for sure. So yeah, I'm definitely a fan. Next is from a member Kevin Dillon. Beardcoon, repeat question. You said you're not a fan of modern PSA 10s with high pops. Which modern PSA 10s with low pops do you recommend for long-term investing? I just don't really love spending that much money on a card that isn't technically rare. You know, I have a lot of stuff where it's literally numbered out of like 100 or something, or out of 50 or 25 or even out of 10. You know, and to me that stuff is actually rare. And it just costs so much money. I'd rather buy, you know, 50 Pokemon cards that I need or want instead of one graded card that isn't technically rare. I'm also super cheap, so if it's anything over like $500, it has to be like pretty rare, so probably vintage stuff. I'm okay with spending that on vintage stuff just because I know there isn't very many out there. But here's a couple cards that are really cheap, pretty tough to grade. We got the Houndour from Obsidian Flames, pop 1172 in a 10, 2466 in a 9, 722 in an 8. got down to $70. The high was 226 and last sold now 88, and another one at 99. So cards like this, you know, like I said, I'm cheap, but it's low risk, $100, pretty popular Pokemon. No one can complain about the art. It is pretty tough to grade. And then next we have the Sudowoodo. This card also got up to $240. Now last sold 150, 155, 149. Beautiful card. Only 498 in a 10, 1149 in a 9, and 455 in an 8. So there's almost more 8s than there is 10s. And, you know, a card like this, he probably won't get another illustration rare or anything like that for a long time. You never know, it's possible, but odds are this is probably going to be his best card. And that's another thing I really love to do. I like to look at the card history of that Pokemon, and if this is the best card we've ever got in Pokemon history of this Pokemon, you know, I'm definitely going to pick up the card. So yeah, there's a couple ones that I think are pretty solid. Next is from Nicholas Schaefer. Hey Beard, I've got Lance's Charizard boxes and Dark Sylveon boxes. Market has them around 80, but mine are the ones with Evolving Skies Infusion in them. Are they worth more than the other versions and how much? Or should I just break them down and sell the packs individually? I've got the same thing going on with the Eevee Hero tins, guaranteed Eevee Skies in them because of the yellow honeycomb texture behind the promo. That's how you know for sure. Break them down too, since not everyone knows will believe that. So for the tins and stuff, where you can't see the packs, a lot of times it probably is a little easier to break down the packs. But like with these boxes where you can actually see them a little bit, you know, we got Evolving Skies right here, sold for $115, $10 in shipping or best offer. This one was $110 on auction. This one was $100 on auction. So you will definitely get a little bit more for, you know, your packs in there. So I definitely would not break these down. But like I said, some of the tins, sometimes you can break them down. But if you're not going to sell them right this second, you know, don't break them down because the tins, you know, they don't take up a ton of space. That's why I do love tins that have all one pack in them, like the Paldean Fates tin or, you know, the Crown Zenith tins. Big fans of stuff like that. Next is from JXLN. I graded the Gold Cynthia's Garchomp in a BGS 10. It's only a pop of 14 for now. Only saw one offer in my area for $4.99. Should I try to sell it or keep it? Thank you. So I would definitely probably try to sell it. I mean, there's a tiny little bit of gold hype going on to where maybe the card could come back up in price, but odds are, you know, it's such a low pop because you know, went with BGS that I would definitely try to sell it and get as much as you can because the PSA 10 just keeps going down in price. It was at 180. Now it's selling for like 100, 110. But all right, next question is from Kyle of White, a member. Good morning, Beardy McBeardface. Firstly, please tell me the merch makes it look like we have your beard. I tried to make a shirt that looks like that. It just did not look good. But I think you guys will like the new merch. Proper question. You had $1,000 today to only invest in one current market item, can buy multiple if it's 5 per item, etc. With the plan to sell in 2030. Thanks as always. So right now, if I had $1,000, probably some Evolving Skies ETBs maybe. So I think that's a pretty good pickup. I mean, you're getting one of the greatest sets in Pokemon history before it gets ridiculously expensive. And I know $400 or $500 for an ETB seems crazy expensive, but, you know, we can check a lot of other sets where the ETBs are, you know, thousands of dollars. And Evolving Skies is much better than those sets too. So I think that's a pretty solid pickup, pretty easy. Just if you're going to get anything like that, make sure it is 100% mint, not a dent, not a tear, nothing. But honestly, there are so many other products that you could pick up that will do super good by 2030. I mean, pretty much all the ultra premium collections are going to go crazy. You know, I could see the Zard UPC being $1,000 by 2030, to be honest. And, you know, Pokemon Center ETBs, the promos, you know, stuff like that. But all right, next question is from Strange Brangle. Hey Beard, I've been in a bit of a rough spot in my life recently. Finances haven't been the cleanest and I just lost my car. I was considering selling my Umbreon VMAX Altart in addition to other cards to get my life going again. I have about 5k in sealed and 25k in raw cards. I'm stuck between selling my Umbreon or sealed stuff like a Celebrations UPC and a set of Evolving Skies ETBs. Your advice would be very much appreciated. Thank you. So it looks like you get about 30k in sealed Pokemon products and cards. I would definitely recommend selling half of that at least to get your life back together because that is the most important thing. You know, get your bills caught up, get your car back, maybe even move apartments or townhouses, you know, try to better your life a little bit, maybe get to a new area where you can get a better job, you know, stuff like that. So definitely take like 3 months off and just focus on your life and get that back together. And I promise you, if you do that in 3 months from now, you'll be doing so much better. And then if you're, you know, thinking about what you want to sell, just try to keep the stuff that you think will do better, you know, in a year or two that hasn't really moved a ton yet. Like Celebrations, you know, I wouldn't sell that quite yet because we got the 30th anniversary coming soon. So I'd probably hold on to that till the 30th anniversary. And one thing you could do, since you have a good amount of stuff, is you could technically start vending. I know it's tough without a vehicle, so maybe sell a couple big cards to get your vehicle back. And then you could start vending every week or every other week. And then that way you're selling a ton of your stuff, maybe picking up a couple things here and there that's good deals and turning around and selling that stuff. Or, making better trades to get better stuff that sells easier. You have a ton of options for sure. But definitely, don't let your life get crappy just to hold on to some sealed Pokemon products and cards. Definitely sell that stuff and get your stuff rolling. But all right, next question is from Kaiju. Hey Beard, what do you think is a better long-term hold if you only could purchase one of these options, which are all around the same price range, give or take? A sealed case of Black Bolt ETBs, a sealed case of Destined Rivals ETBs, or a sealed case of Prismatic Evolution SPCs. So the Prismatic Evolution SPCs just kind of went crazy recently, so they might be a little bit more, but I would have definitely have chose them because they definitely do not print nearly as many SPCs as they do ETBs or even booster boxes, just because they're so big. So I'm a big fan of SPCs and UPCs for sure, but now let's say if Prismatic Evolution SPCs are super expensive and it takes them out of the question, definitely go Destined Rivals for sure. All right, next question is from Greg W. Mr. Beard, would you consider the sealed collectors of this Pokemon craze just scalpers in the long run if they sell them down the road for more money? Why or why not? Thank you. Keep it up. I watch every video. Yeah, I've seen so many people talk about this. I mean, I've even been called a scalper by someone who's been in the hobby for 1 year when I've been in the hobby my entire life, played the TCG for over 20 years, and I almost never sell any sealed products. And one of the main reasons why I love collecting sealed products is it makes my house feel like a card shop, my favorite place in the whole world. So, the biggest difference for me between a scalper and a sealed investor or collector is a scalper has the ability to go clear out every single Walmart or Target every single week because they're instantly selling stuff to profit, so they have cash flow constantly. So they have the ability to go clear stuff out. When a sealed investor or collector doesn't. I say 90% of us are pretty lucky to get a few booster boxes or a few ETBs of each set that comes out. And to me, that's not that different between someone buying, a few booster boxes to open or someone buying a few booster boxes to sit on. To me, that's not that big of a difference. But a scalper, like I said, can just clear out everything. And this is going to be kind of a hot take, and some people might get upset, but I really feel like 98% of box breakers are also just scalpers. But instead of, buying everything off the shelf and instantly selling it on Facebook Marketplace, they buy it off the shelf and they sell it on Whatnot or Drip or YouTube. And then if they're not clearing the shelves themselves, they are literally buying it from the scalpers. Because if you think about it, not a ton of people can get a lot of stuff from distribution right now. So the only way these people are getting packs and stuff every single night is to go scalp all the stuff or buy it from scalpers. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan. So yeah, like I said, I really feel like the average sealed collector or investor really doesn't damage the hobby too much. We're just grabbing a few boxes here and there and throwing them in the closet and sitting on them. But all right, next question is from L Sports Cards. Hey, PokeBeard, God of Thunder, Son of Odin. I like that one. Should I consider trading my 151 UPC and Paladin Fates ETB for Sword and Shield era ETBs and or booster boxes? So I feel like that is solid, but there's one thing you have to think about. 151 and Paladin Fates right now are technically more popular than almost anything from the Sword and Shield era just because we are in the most popular time in Pokemon history to where I could see that 151 UPC kind of beating anything in the Sword and Shield era. But, it is usually smarter to trade stuff that we could possibly get reprints for stuff, that we're not going to get reprints for. But 151 is getting pretty old. Paladin Fates, we just got an announcement. We're going to finally get a reprint of Paladin Fates, not the ETBs, but we're getting a new collection box. But, if we don't get any more Paladin Fates ETBs, those could also beat a ton of stuff from the Sword and Shield era. So it really depends on what it's for. But honestly, I think you're sitting pretty good with the 151 UPC and Paladin Fates ETB. But like I said, maybe it's for some Evolving Skies, something like that. That might be interesting, but I think you're doing solid. Next is from JD. Long-term thoughts on Japanese 151 booster boxes. Total set value is a few grand and boxes only 200. I stocked up at $50 shipped. Same here. I stocked up when they were 50, 60 bucks. So happy I did. Even at 200, I still feel like they are a little undervalued. I can't see them getting a reprint. And let's say they don't get a reprint, they will definitely go up in price, because Japanese 151 is much better than the English version for sure. All right, next question is from Kyle Thompson. Oh, great bearded master of the Dwarven smithing arts. As a collector investor on a budget, do you think it's smarter to save for new Mega Era booster boxes and get in early at a lower cost basis, or target top 5 Scarlet and Violet Era products within my budget, like ETBs and booster bundles, Blessings of the Forge upon you. So I personally like to invest in the new stuff that's a little bit cheaper, but I don't know how cheap you're going to be able to get the new mega stuff to where it might be smart to pick up a couple products from the Scout and VOD era that you think will do really, really good in the future, just so you have a couple of them, and then focus on the new stuff. But yeah, if this is normal times and all the booster boxes were $90 or $100, I would definitely say, just stock up on the new stuff. Get it while it's cheap, but everything's so expensive. All right, next is from Matt Broden. Will English Pokemon ever increase the texture quality on the cards like the Japanese versions? Also, will Pokemon increase textures to be like Bandai TCG texture level like Digimon or even the new Gundam TCG? So I did recently feel one of the new Digimon cards. They are pretty crazy. But I can't see Pokemon doing that, to be honest. I feel like it'd be too tough for them to, redo everything. So I have a feeling we're going to get these for a while. Next is from @BinStees. Do you like any card specifically with a yellow or silver border? Personally, Pikachu's Secret Rare from Crown Zenith looks better with the yellow border, and Galarian Moltres from the Crown Zenith 10 looks way better with the silver border. A lot of Gold Star cards look kind of sick with the silver border as well. So I've always been one who just never really cared about the border color. It's never bugged me, but I remember so many people complaining about the yellow border for years, and then I swear once we got the silver borders, I heard just as many people complain about the silver borders for some reason, which I thought was so strange. But yeah, it doesn't really bug me one way or the other. I do think, some cards do look better, like the Crown Zenith Pikachu probably would look better with the yellow border because it is all yellow compared to the silver border. So yeah, I agree there for sure, but... Next is from @BLMan. Hey, Beardimus. I'm wondering if you've ever interacted with someone who cleans and repairs cards. There's apparently a guy in my local area that does it to where he can bring cards from PSA 5 or 6 quality to PSA 9 or 10. I've been hesitant to reach out to the guy. Are card cleaners a thing and are they legit? Thanks. So they are definitely a thing and there's a lot of people who do it. If they're guaranteeing 5 or 6 jump to a 9 or 10, I probably wouldn't trust that. Take that with a grain of salt. But you can go give them like an average card and try it out. I've seen a ton of videos. A lot of them can do some crazy stuff where they can make the card go up in price. And, some people say PSA won't grade them if they, alter them or anything like that. But I constantly see people clean their cards and get them graded with no problems at all. All right, next is from @The Ramblin' Raccoon. Hey, Beard, would you recommend keeping sealed promos sealed or opening them and sleeving them? I have seen arguments both ways, but I'd like to know what you think. Thanks, brother. So, in my opinion, if you look at the card and you can tell it's pretty off-centered, I'd just keep it sealed. If you think it has a really good chance of a PSA 10, that's when I open them up. But otherwise, I usually just keep them all sealed. Because, let's look at the Shaman from Generations. That's the promo from the ETB. That sealed compared to raw is worth automatically, $20, $30 more. So, in the future, that's when, a nice, clean, sealed copy can actually be worth a decent amount more than raw. And last question is from @Mike's Cardboard. What if Pokemon inserted shiny variants of all cards, common, uncommon, etc., into a set at the same rate as the video games? That would be actually super cool if there was a few shiny cards in each set that were just ridiculously tough to pull. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Maybe you give it a little bit of extra shine or a little bit of texture, kind of like a Master Ball type situation, but it's a shiny Pokemon. I think that'd be a ton of fun for sure. But alright, that'll say it's Pokemon What If Wednesday. If you guys do like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like and comment. If you guys want to support more, you guys can check out my Instagram, my TikTok, or my YouTube membership. It's only 99 cents a month. And I will be going to Card Party in Seattle next week, and I will never miss a video, so they will be a little bit shorter. I'm going to have to record a bunch of them on the road and stuff. I might pre-record a couple of them, but I'll let you guys know and keep you up to date on everything. But if you guys are going to Seattle Card Party, definitely come say hello. And then too, if you guys want to support more, you guys can check out my Instagram, my TikTok, or my YouTube membership. It's only 99 cents a month. And then if you guys want to watch my last Market Monday, which was an insane one, we covered a ton of stuff. It was over 30 minutes long. Click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.